Hi, I'm DoT and this is my guide to Physical DoT Ascendant. Physical DoT is an archetype that scales extremely well with auras and gem loads. In the showcase setup, Pride provides 71% more damage, which comes from having 69% aura effect. Furthermore, we have 56 increased mana reservation efficiency, allowing us to run Pride, Malvance, War Banner and Determination. Also, this character gets high res from the tree, about 63% all resistances, which enables this build to work with relatively bad gear. Then you get a total of 74% suppression chance from our Ascendancy choice, Tree and Anointment. As Physical DoT has a lot of gems with the physical gem tag, for example Vulnerability, Pride, War Banner, Determination and our 3 damaging abilities, we are able to gain immense value from +1 level of physical spell skill gems. Each +1 gives us about 15% more damage. Also, having full magic gear allows you to take advantage of the unique jewel hidden potential. Every magic equipment piece gives this build 20 to 25% increased damage. This way we can get up to 225 increased damage from just the one unique jewel. All this makes it possible for this build to get high enough DPS with very low investments. Note, even though I only have magic gear in the gameplay footage, I highly recommend using a cold iron point to push your damage even further, as it provides +3 to your physical spell skill gems. Moving on to the cons of this build. Exsanguinate has a high base cast time of 0.8 seconds, and the only cast speed scaling we get is from the Scion Raider Ascendancy, and 5% on the passive tree. When using Unleash support, this problem gets even worse, as you're locked into the casting animation for over a second. Another downside is that 30% of our damage in this particular setup comes from a unique jewel, which may change in price due to this guide. Also, increasing power of this build comes from high costs. While getting to 5 million DPS is not expensive, it involves getting corruptions on a common unique, a 1 damage mod Watcher's Eye, a 3 notable large cluster jewel and a 6 link. Going for 8 to 9 million DPS is going to cost over 30 divines. Finally, face the issues of having 3 damaging skills that occupy up to 14 sockets. So you can't fit in a cast 1 damage taking setup unless damage support gems are taken off, or you let Reap and Corrupting Fever share support gems. Once properly set up, Physical DoT is able to clear tier 16s and kill all non-Uber bosses even with only magic gear equipped. Exsanguinate with Chain has amazing clear. We shoot out 9 tendrils at gem low 20, so Exsanguinate has the potential of hitting up to 27 enemies with 1 cast. The uniques that we use cost typically only 5 chaos orbs. And lastly, we can cap our suppression and have about 20k armor without using any flasks. For all these reasons, Physical DoT Ascendant is a great and easy to get going build. We have 3 abilities that we deal damage with: Exsanguinate, Reap and Corrupting Fever. Corrupting Fever is a buff that lets us apply Corrupting Blood stacks onto our enemies. We can apply 10 stacks of these onto a single target. Then we have Exsanguinate that can apply 3 debuffs onto a single enemy. It has a base duration of 1 second, and because it's such a low duration, we want to use Unleash for bossing, so we can maintain 3 stacks onto our boss. And then we have Reap, which is primarily our single target damage dealing ability. So a skill rotation would look something like this. We use Exsanguinate, have 3 debuffs on our enemy, then we Reap and Curse Me, and then Exsanguinate again, Reap, dodge, one important thing to know is we have a really high base cast time with Exsanguinates, so we kind of get locked into the casting animation for a very long time. We would use Flame Dash. We're just gonna show it. We use Flame Dash. We can't dash while we are casting. We only after we've already casted. So we use Force Blink instead, which lets us blink while we are casting. Moving on to the items of this build. First, the wand. What you do is you sell a wand and gems of the physical tag. The gems need to have a combined value of 40% quality. Doing this will give you a +1 physical gem wand, and then you just craft physical damage over time multiplier. Next up is the shield. For the shield, ideally you want a +1 physical spell skill gem shield, but you can also use take spell damage or minion damage, preferably minion damage, as the spell damage won't actually scale the damage of the corrupting fever. For the rest of your gear, you pretty much just want to fill out your resistances, get life, spell suppression. For the helmets, just get spell suppression, life, chest, life, resistances. The amulet is a bit tricky. You also want to get +1 physical skill gems on this amulet, but getting a magic amulet that only has the physical skill gems affix is pretty difficult. So what I suggest is to actually go for a rare amulet. Either just buy one that has already +1 to level of physical skill gems, or you can also use the damage over time multiplier one, which also gives a lot of damage. And yeah, ring is just resistances, life, same for the rest. And we use a unique jewel as previously mentioned, and this jewel gives us increased damage for each magic item equipped. We have, I think, is with 9 magic items equipped, so it gives us a lot of damage. And for the rest of the jewels, you just want increased maximum life, physical damage, or time multiplier. For flasks, I like to use 2 life flasks. One that gives me corrupting blood immunity, bleed immunity, and early on I want a freeze immunity flask. Once you get the Pantheon that gives you freeze immunity, you can replace the freeze immunity mod with a recover an additional % of life, flask recovery amount over 10 seconds. This is basically like overleech. It's not removed once you reach full life, and this can help with the degen from Blood Rage. Then you get Quicksilver for movement speed, Jade Flask provides some avoidance, which we otherwise don't have much, and Granite Flask for almost 11k armor. As an anointment, I like to use anything that gives me spell suppression, as it makes gearing easier. For Eldritch Implicits, we want the increased mana reservation efficiency of skills, as previously mentioned. For Glass, we want physical damage leeches life to provide some sustain, and this also lets us run Blood Rage without draining our life pool. Once you have farmed enough currency, you want to buy 2 cold iron points. They will replace your wand and your shield, and are going to give you a really nice boost of damage. And it should cost around 5 chaos. For the mid-game setup, we want to have corrupted cold iron points, ideally with the increased damage over time mod, but most likely it will be pretty sought after, because also the Poison Pathfinder Exsanguinate players are gonna go for this line. So you could also take the increased spell damage, which is probably going to be cheaper. And then you want a large class of jewels with 3 notables. The way you get this efficiently is with the jagged fossils. It used to be harvest, but now that they have nerfed harvest, we use jagged fossils. And then you get a Watcher's Eye, 1 damage mod Watcher's Eye. This will boost your damage to roughly 5 million DPS. And moving on to the passive skill tree. Some important things that you want to get a bit of life regen, some reduced life cost of skills to deal with the life cost of our skills. I also use Spiritual Aid in this setup because we do get a lot of increased physical damage or increased damage, so we have to pick up the minion damage points. But we will spec out of them once we have better gear, because they're kind of very inefficient. Also, you want to have all the increased mana reservation efficiency points in the Templar area, in the Marauder area, and the Mana Mastery. This allows us to run Determination, Pride, Herald of Purity, and Warbanner. Once we get the Eldritch Implicit that gives us increased mana reservation efficiency, we can take out Herald of Purity and replace it with Malevance. And as a consequence of having all these auras, we only have 2% unreserved mana, so we have to life tap the rest of our skills. This was my guide to physical DoT Ascendant. I hope you found it useful, and thank you for watching.